This is Tony Hendrick with Painting Spirit, and today's subject is going to be life drawing. And maybe more specifically, drawing from life, or maybe even life from drawing. I'm not quite sure, but I wanted to talk about it because I feel like this week for me has been a process of me really applying these things that I'm talking about with these painting spirit sessions in relation to art. As far as I choose these subjects, like I talked about trust, I talked about curiosity, I talked about expectations this past week, and all of those subjects have been kind of showing themselves in my life for a particular project that I'm exploring. One of the aspects to that too has been the topic of possibilities. Maybe that'll be another topic I choose. So, without getting into too much with the specifics of it, I'm actually still creating this painting. So I will just talk about it in generalities because that's all it's really needed. I'm finding that this whole idea of being present, getting into that place of no mind really can be applied to life. So I've got a project that I'm exploring with somebody else, and the process involves going through some forms that I'm filling out, and the communication because of these forms is, there's a disconnect that happens because it's not direct one-on-one all the time anyway. There is interaction happening at one-on-one, but it's a little bit different than what I'm used to. And I'm also noticing aspects of my personality are coming through in this that I've seen in myself before. But I'm being present during the whole process. It doesn't mean that emotions haven't been arising. It really makes me think of this painting I did a couple of days ago for the painting spirit sessions. The one I talked about curiosity, and I chose a kind of a complicated painting with a bird in it. And kind of at the very last hour, the last minute, the painting came together, but during the whole thing, I was quite uncertain how well this painting was working out. And I didn't allow myself to get into taking my thoughts too seriously while I was working on it. My beliefs about it, that's what I mean by my thoughts. And really, thinking about beliefs, it's a lot like having formulas or forms that are used to try and anticipate things. It's all beliefs really are attempting to do. probably trying to establish some sort of a standard, and its standards can be really useful for sure. Standards and formulas, but when it starts to get into the realm of disconnect from the truth of who I am or what my heart is telling me, it becomes a problem. No different than when I'm working on a painting. Life starts to disappear out of the painting. I get too caught up in thoughts about what I'm doing or how it's turning out. If I start to blame the painting or blame myself, that's all energy, and then all that energy shows up in the art, and you can feel it, you can see it. Whether it looks like tightness, stiffness, stuffiness. Let's see here, how do I want to just kind of playing around. It's funny, I picked life drawing as my subject. I don't know why I really chose that. It just seemed like a interesting way to talk about how life or the aspects of life or the qualities that create life in a painting also can be applied to real life or your daily life. That's really what the whole point of these topics I choose are, is to bring it back to life, bring it back to how I'm living my life. Anyway, so today I decided to do an abstract painting. But I have found that abstraction is an aspect to it that's really working with essential qualities in painting. Everything is ultimately coming from that abstract place, whether you're painting from life or not. I'm just mixing the colors, maybe explore some flat areas, just really get that paint. Bringing it back to the quality of play that I originally started these out with. So I'm finding with this thing that I'm working on right now in my life that I just keep reminding myself to bring myself back to the present moment. There's a certain amount of letting go and a lightness that comes out of that too. Just actually thinking about that this morning with my Tai Chi that I practice every morning. I started to zero in on something with it I was aware of, but I didn't really know how to quite put it into words, and it just kind of dawned on me. I've tuned into the energy that moves through our bodies with Tai Chi. And once I've tuned into that, my attention is completely on the flow of that energy. And yet, I'm also using my physical body, these movements. And what I've noticed is what happens in that relaxed state that I get into with Tai Chi and focusing on the energy, there's an efficiency that happens in the movement. The energy flows in an efficient way. And part of that efficiency is that just comes out of it. As I notice I'm using basically stabilizing muscles in my body. So I'm stabilizing the body while the energy is moving through it. I was thinking, that's kind of how I feel with this particular thing that I'm in the process of creating in my life. When I get into a mode of trying to force things, I'm using a lot more muscles than it really needs to be. But when I focus on the energy and the flow, something else happens. So I think I'm going to kind of just play with the colors here a little bit, get myself into this. Just was wanting to bring this up because the topic of drawing from life. Because I do find it interesting that as I'm doing these paintings and talking about the things that I'm interested in with painting, just me talking about it brings it to an awareness for myself that I'm actually applying it into my life. And as I said, this particular thing that I'm working on in my life right now isn't a completed painting, but I do have a feeling of trust within the process that I feel like has come out of what I've been exploring with these painting spirit sessions. So as you see, there's my bell, or as you hear, there was my bell. So I'll wrap things up there. This is kind of a nice, relaxing painting for me today. So anyway, see how you can inform your own life by giving yourself the opportunity to do what you enjoy doing creatively. Find the things that are working for it. See how you can apply that to your life. Maybe just this weekend, explore it a little bit. So get out your brushes, have fun, be light with it all. That's what I'm reminding myself to do. And I think I've got something that another thing that I've got going in my life. I think I'm going to be able to announce it next week. Talked about it a little bit. So tune in next week. I got some offers to give. And we'll see you then.